All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Uncut, Never Filtered. You got...
We'll go with Phil. What's up?
You go, bonjour, je m'appelle Tim, and today we are going over our bourbon hunting experience in Canada. Did we find anything? Did we score some great deals? We'll let you be the judge. Up next. All right, we're back. So just like I said, last week, all the boys were on their little separate vacations. However, Phil and I, couples who cruise together, stay together, went with our spouses on a cruise to Halifax, Nova Scotia. While in the province, we took it upon ourselves to take a walk around town, see what whiskey was out there to be had. Also, not being a political conversation on the channel, but we heard the old bourbon well might be drying up north, so we wanted to check on our mon frères above the border to see if they had, in fact, any bourbon available for consumption or purchase.
Oh yeah. Ding. That's what we do. We went searching around. We asked the locals. Good day, eh?
We were in Australia.
Let me fix it. How do they talk?
However, we found in the province of Nova Scotia, sort of like here in Virginia, they are maintained by the NSLC. So we walked through, and there's one thing we didn't notice.
Yeah, we didn't notice any bourbon sitting on the shelves, did we?
Yep. So Phil got angry. Phil got turned up in there real fast and asked, "Hey man, what's up with the bourbon?
What's up?" They said because of political reasons and tariffs and all this nonsense, that there is no bourbon to be had in Canada.
We were just asking a question like, did you have to send it back? Did you keep the good shit locked up? She was like, we're not going to have a political discussion. I'm like, no one talked about politics, but cool, lady. And then you started chatting up the old cashier, asking him some questions. What do you guys talk about?
So we talked about inventory. He said that some of the NSLC stores kept inventory. They didn't just ship it back to the U.S. or ship it to their government or whatever, get rid of it. And they said that they had inventory of George T. Stagg, the whole Pappy lineup, and they're just sitting there.
Phil offered to go around back with them and do whatever needed to be done to acquire these bourbons.
I need those bourbons. Now, I'm sure there's something you need, too.
Unfortunately, he didn't have any needs that needed to be met that day, so we didn't get any bourbon. So we said, well, what else is there? We're thinking, right? This is it's like really one of the smaller stores that we walked through while we were there, right? So I said, well, fuck it. How about Caribou Crossing? Blantons of the North. Do you have any of that? I said, well, that's in high demand up here, too, but let me see if it's in the inventory. So, of course, they had none there. They said, hey, down in the tourist area, down by the port, that's our largest store, and they got a bunch of it in stock. So we grabbed an Uber. I told him the port by NSLC, and he took us to the port with a big-ass cruise ship, which was about 2 miles away. So we hoofed it. We walked. And we walked. We got our jazzercise in that day. So eventually we show up at this place, right? They're like, oh, can we help you? We asked, hey, where you guys have Caribou Crossing? And I mean, they had cases upon cases of this shit sitting on the shelves. And so I got one for myself, started calling folks. Eddie wanted two. And while we were there, we were cashed out with the cashier there. Now I said, man, you guys drink bourbon up here? What's your inventory like? And he's like, well, in their locked door, they had every color of the fucking rainbow of Weller. They had all the Skittles in that bitch. And he said, I really love bourbon the best out of everything we have up here in the north. And he was purposely not drinking his bourbon so he didn't get rid of it. And he was planning, he and I looked up in Google. I think I had him talked in driving 4.5 hours to Maine just to see if, he could get anything. So he was in dire straits, upset about it. We looked around the store, what's on the shelves besides bourbon. I did a bad job of taking video, my bad. However, there was a series they were doing called The Last Drops. And it was just crazy, crazy shit that I don't imagine anyone's buying. There was like a 1969 Scotch. They were selling for like $12,000. So today we're going to try Caribou Crossing. We're going to find out if it's truly the Blantons of the North. And full disclaimer, I hate Blantons, so we'll see how it tastes. This is coming in single barrel Canadian whiskey. 40%. Ooh, 80 proof. That sounds like a beast.
Yeah,
The Caribou Crossing single barrel et minumiscent élaboré pour... Oh, wait, I should... There's an American version. Caribou Crossing single barrels painstakingly handcrafted to our expert whiskey making abilities. The result is Canadian whiskey unequaled by any other. However, Sazerac Distillers of Canada Inc. That's the loophole right there. Mm-hmm. It don't matter if it's even with beer, we saw American beers in there too. But if it's bottled and manufactured in Canada, it could stay up there. So they need to start bottling some Georgia Sea Stag up in that bitch. Caribou Crossing is available in limited quantities at select stores. So let's see how painstaking process they put into this batch. Not bad. You do get some flavors of oak, sweetness, vanilla, but it's super light. Super, super light.
Caramel, vanilla. There's something under it though, but I can't place what it is.
Moose piss?
Moose piss, yes. It's moose piss, eh? We like to show a lot of respect for Canada, and that's why we're talking the way we are, because,
we saw a lot of respect for our country while we were up there. On the palate. Cheers. Fuckers. So, for the first whiskey of the day, that's not hot at all. Again, at 80 proof. Now, while it is a lot smoother because you don't have the burn, you do get a lot of the sweeter tendencies of this whiskey on the palate. You don't have to really search for them, but again, just like the nose, very muted.
Tastes like it wants to be something.
It wants to be a bourbon. It's trying.
It wants to grow up to be a bourbon.
Going back to the nose again, just still muted flavors of vanilla, caramel, and that's about it.
I got bitter, oaky kind of taste too that sits in the back. It could be better. Maybe a little more age, a lot more proof. Make it go to 115 proof. Give it 2 more years worth of life before we kill this moose.
But I think I'm ready to pull the plug on this one, Phil. You ready to give it a score?
Yeah, I would say it's maybe a little bit above. I would say probably a 6.0.
6.0. It's not a bad score. I think you're awfully generous in your heart.
Maybe a little too generous.
For me, there's nothing offensive about it. It's just muted, right? Easy sipper all day long.
Yeah.
Something different, pull off the shelf when the friends come over. Take a look. What the hell is that with the moose on it? We definitely got the stories to tell with it. So that'd be a good time. And again, at the end of the day, that's what whiskey, or in our case, bourbon, here in the States is all about. Sipping, bullshitting with friends, having a good time. So it does do that. I will give it that. For a score today out of 10, I will give this a score of 5.0. It's a 5.0 for me. Almost, I could be talked into going down to a 4.5, which is not my jam. But it's not, it's okay. I'm glad I bought it. Will I ever buy a bottle of this again? Hell no. When this is released as single barrel drops in Virginia, people buy it up. Not only am I gonna buy it if it's readily available, I'm definitely not hunting it at all. But maybe nice to try one. So definitely, before you invest $50 or so into this bottle, try it at a bar. That's the move. Any thoughts to take us home, Phil?
We really love Canada. It was a real nice place. And Shania Twain is hot. Still, even at her age. You offer wonderful things up there. I mean, the coffee was good. Shania Twain. Thank you, Canada. You don't offer no good bourbon. You only offer us this whiskey, if you can call it that.
Yep. So, again, I don't may or may not be really interrupting American bourbon sales. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think we see a lot more harder to get things a little bit more frequently and easier than we were in the past. Thank you, Canada, for that.
Mm-hmm.
Soon as they open sales back up, whenever that may be, there are definitely some diamonds in the rough waiting to be unlocked behind that locked door in the provincial liquor stores. So that's all we got today. We will see you next week with the whole gang. Until next time, cheers.
Cheers.
But I feel bad. I feel really bad. When we were up there, I'd already purchased these. My brother said, fuck it, get me one more. So that way I have a backup since I never get it. So I can't play this video until he fucking pays me for these. Thanks, Eddie. Gotcha.